Do you have trouble just getting into the flow of the game because of the starting and stopping of the game? Hi, I'm Patrick Cohn. I'm here with Jaclyn Ellis, who's one of our mental performance coaches at Peak Performance Sports. Today, we're going to talk about one skill that every elite player has mastered, and you have to too. You're watching the Sports Psychology Podcast. So in your estimation, Jaclyn, what are the main skills or main skill that elite players have mastered that allows them to perform their best?
Yes, what we've noticed is that elite athletes are able to get into the flow of the game and stay there. And this is something that we teach our athletes in our sessions. How do we enter that flow state? And then how do we stay there for as long as possible?
So when we talk about the flow of the game versus entering a flow state, would you say those are synonymous, or are we talking about two different things?
I think those are synonymous. Getting into the flow and being in flow are one and the same.
Okay. So if you're out on the pitch and you're feeling somewhat disjointed from the play, you're not a part of the play, you don't know where the play is going, then you're really not in the flow.
Correct.
Okay. So when you're not in the flow, then what are the problems associated with that for athletes?
Well, if you're not in the flow, the way that I describe it to my athletes is you're not being an active participant in the game. A lot of times in soccer, we get caught watching the game. And it's common, right? So what's impacting your performance? You're distracted, first of all, by whatever that may be. Could be external distractions, could be thinking about your own performance. But either way, if you're thinking about something else than the current task at hand, then you're not in the flow. You're not focused.
Yeah, and I like to talk with my clients about the flow disruptors, right? The big flow disruptors, as you started with, being distracted is one. But I think fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, worrying about making mistakes, worrying about playing up to the level that your coach or teammates expect of you. Just a lot of worries, I think, are flow disruptors. Do you have any other big ones that get in the way of athletes able to get into that mindset of flow?
Yeah, maybe just overthinking. A lot of the flow disruptors that you already listed interact with each other. The fear of embarrassment, worrying about what others think, overthinking every little thing, overanalyzing their technique and things like that.
Yeah. We really haven't defined what flow is based upon Csikszentmihalyi's work that he's done. So let's talk about flow and the flow channel and what's your understanding of that?
So flow is this idea of the body really taking over, and you're relying on your muscle memory, and you're not really thinking too hard about what's happening, but rather you're letting the play take over, and you're executing skills that you already know how to do. It's sort of, sometimes I'll tell my athletes, it's sort of like you're in this trance of gameplay.
Yeah. So, and Csikszentmihalyi would also say that you're totally immersed into what you're doing, which may be that trance-like feeling that your athletes describe, where you have clear objectives or clear goals and you're getting clear feedback, and sport provides that for them. And you're not being self-conscious and you're focused on the right cues. So there's like 9 elements of flow that Csikszentmihalyi talks about that helps athlete get into there. But my understanding of that flow channel is it's somewhere between boredom and anxiety. If you're bored and you lack intensity, you can't get into the flow. If you're anxious, you're worried, that fear of failure, fear of letting others down, then also you can't be in the flow. Or if you feel over-challenged, like if you think the challenge is too high for you as well. All right, well, let's talk about some skills or some mindsets going to help athletes get into the flow on the pitch or really in any sport.
Yeah, so one easy solution that we can implement here to help athletes get into the zone is the idea of high intensity, as you mentioned. So finding that that balance. So we don't want to be bored, but we don't want to be too anxious and overly. So helping them to find that right intensity level for the game, during the game, will help them find the right flow in the game.
Good. I'm going to add to that, have a couple objectives out there when you go out and perform. Don't just go out and play, Although you want to be in a very highly reactive state, as Jaclyn talked about, you want to be able to look and react and not overthink your skills. But at the same time, you have to have an idea or an objective of what is your tactics, what is your game plan out there, and be able to focus on those tactics and game plan. What else is going to help our audience get into the flow?
So I like your idea of having them pick a couple of objectives, whether that's for the whole team, what's the game plan for the team, or what are some objectives in my role. Perhaps we can get them to think about mini games during the game. For example, how many times can I take a shot on goal in this half? So get them to think about something a little bit broader than our regular small objectives. Make it into a game for them where they do feel challenged and it's getting them into that right intensity again.
Right. I call that focusing on the game within the game. Like for golfers, it might be hitting fairways and greens, for example, and one putting. I think a really big challenge for athletes is they have to stop worrying about what others think. They have to be, as Csikszentmihalyi would say, athletes can't be self-conscious. If you're self-conscious, you're worrying a lot about how others are judging or evaluating you in some sense. I'm working with an athlete right now, and he worries so much about stacking up. He worries so much about embarrassing himself. He worries so much about letting down a teammate or his partner that it really sabotages his ability to get into the flow. It overtakes him to the point where he says he has deer in the headlights syndrome, right? So if you want to get into the flow, you really have to stop caring about what you think others think. Hi, I've been speaking with Jaclyn Ellis, mental performance coach at Peak Performance Sports. If you want more information about our mental coaching programs, visit peaksports.com and check out our mental training for soccer or any other sport. Thanks, Jaclyn.